Hi dear students. Now we'll try to understand the first unit, particularly start the first unit, that is essays. So these are not the essays as you write in examination, but these are the essays, literary essays, or the thoughts of the writers or the critics about literature or the things related to literature. So the first essay in our syllabus is, the anxiety of Indianness. Um, Anxiety means, a type of, worry or, chinta or tension. आणि Indianness म्हणजे भारतीयत्व. सो भारतीयत्वाची चिंता म्हणजे भारतीय असल्याची चिंता जी आहे रायटरच्या मनामध्ये. सो दिस इज अबाउट द एन्झायटी ऑफ इंडियननेस in the mind of the writers or related to Indian literature. So this essay is written by Meenakshi Mukherjee, and Meenakshi uh, Mukherjee's The Anxiety of Indianness. It was published in the book The Perishable Empire. I will provide you the note in detail. So the Perishable Empire, essays on Indian writing in English, and which was published in the year 2000. The essay The Anxiety of Indianness is written by Meenakshi Mukherjee and was published in the year 2000. So the theme of the essay is an important question related to cultural identity and post-colonial makeover. कल्चरल आयडेंटिटी मीन्स आपली जी एक ओळख आहे, सांस्कृतिक ओळख, त्याच्याबद्दल हा एसे प्रामुख्याने चर्चा करतोय. अँड प्रामुख्याने इंडियन रायटर जे रायटिंग करतायत इंग्लिशमध्ये, सो वॉट आर देअर प्रॉब्लेम्स ॲक्च्युअली, प्रॉब्लेम्स फेस्ड ऑर द कन्फ्युजन फेस्ड बाय देम. So it forms a logical answer to the argument about should Indian writers write in their own vernacular, means regional languages, or should they continue to write in English or forge a new identity on the international platform, or should they form a new kind of English language that would reflect the culture and ethnicity of India. So the main theme of this essay is that is, sometimes Indian writers are blamed to write in English. They're called that they're not. They're say it is said that they're not able to write in English language, and they should continue to write in their mother tongue only, their regional languages only. So they do not have the ability to write in English. So should they continue to write in English or in their motherland only? That is the question. And one more thing, that should they form a new kind of English language? Because Indian culture is very different. If they want to reflect Indian culture and the problems in India, they should reflect in a different type of English language. They should create a different type of Indian English, which can reflect the culture and ethnicity of India. Okay, 1 minute. Don't make noise. So this essay is divided into 6 sections, and the first section, in the first section, Meenakshi Mukherjee gives reference to Raja Rao's novel Kanthapura, published in 1938, and how in the preface or in the forward of Kanthapura, त्या नॉवलच्या सुरुवातीला राजारावने असं म्हटलेलं आहे, रायटरने असं म्हटलेलं आहे की that is the conflict between language and culture in the Indian context for the first time. He has written about it. The conflict between language and culture, म्हणजे इंडियन भाषा आणि इंडियन संस्कृती ह्याच्यामध्ये जे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट आहे, दॅट इज when the writer wants to reflect Indian culture, it's very problematic how to reflect in English language particularly. It creates problems because of the cultural differences, because English is not our language, it is the language of the British people particularly, or the Americans, and and their culture and our culture is different, totally different. So when the writer tries to write about Indian culture, there are some limitations. He finds difficulties when he starts writing in English. So, okay. He says that the conflict is due to the difficulty of conveying the myths, religions, and cultural practices, okay, of a country in a language that is acquired by us and not inherited. So अशा एका दुसऱ्याच्या म्हणजे परकीय भाषेमध्ये जेव्हा आपण आपलं स्वतःचं कल्चर रिफ्लेक्ट करतो, तेव्हा कसे प्रॉब्लेम्स फेस करावे लागतात याबद्दल राजारावने कांतापुराच्या सुरुवातीला प्रिफेसमध्ये किंवा प्रस्तावनेमध्ये ह्याचा विचार मांडलेला आहे की आपण भारतीय कल्चर जे आहे जेव्हा ते आपण आपल्या मातृभाषेमध्ये लिहितो तेव्हा काही प्रॉब्लेम्स नसतो, कारण शब्द सापडतात आपल्याला. कारण आपलंच कल्चर आणि आपलीच भाषा आहे. पण जेव्हा आपण आपलं कल्चर किंवा आपल्याकडे असणारे जे मिथ्स आहेत किंवा आख्यायिका आहेत किंवा ज्या दंतकथा आहेत की ज्या सतत कथांमध्ये येत असतात, तर त्याचं रिफ्लेक्शन किंवा त्यांच्याबद्दल लिहित असताना दुसऱ्या म्हणजे परकीयांच्या भाषेमध्ये जी आपण अक्वायर केलेली भाषा आहे ती आपली स्वतःची नाही आहे, अशा परकीय भाषेमध्ये जेव्हा आपण आपल्या संस्कृतीबद्दल लिहित असतो तेव्हा बऱ्याच वेळेला लिमिटेशन्स येतात, भाषेची लिमिटेशन्स येतात. शब्द कोणते वापरावे किंवा वाक्य कसं लिहावं असे प्रॉब्लेम्स फेस करावे लागतात लेखकांना. आणि तिथे कुठेतरी जे काही ते ते जे अडथळे आहेत ते दूर करून तो लिहिण्याचा प्रयत्न केला जातो. त्यामुळे ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी लक्षात घेणं गरजेचं आहे वेन इंडियन रायटर राईट्स इन इंग्लिश. तर इंग्लिश लँग्वेज सूट्स अवर इंटलेक्ट बट नॉट अवर इमोशन्स. कारण आपण ज्ञान मिळवण्यासाठी इंग्लिश भाषा आपल्याला सूट करते, बट वेन वी वॉन्ट टू एक्सप्रेस अवर इमोशन्स अँड लिटरेचर इज द एक्सप्रेशन ऑफ इमोशन, कारण साहित्य लिहिताना इमोशन्स किंवा भावना खूप महत्त्वाच्या असतात. आणि मग आपलं कल्चर, आपल्या भावना जेव्हा आपण रिफ्लेक्ट करतो, ॲट दॅट टाइम इट बिकम्स प्रॉब्लेमॅटिक. दॅट इज दिस इंग्लिश इज ॲक्च्युली द लँग्वेज ऑफ इंटलेक्ट, लँग्वेज ऑफ knowledge. But when the question of emotions come, it becomes very difficult to express our emotions, Indian emotions particularly in English, because when we express our emotions, we can express our emotions in our mother tongue very effectively. But when we try to express our emotions in English or in other languages which are not ours, then it create problems. It doesn't give a type of justice to our emotions. So therefore writing a regional novel in English is a difficult task. So writing about Indian life or Indian culture or Indian the novel about India, it's a very difficult, and in English language is a very very difficult task for the Indian writers who are writing in English language. Okay, so this is the most important thing we should try to take into, or we should try to understand. In the second section of the essay, the writer tries to show how Indian English literature is different from regional literature in India. रिजनल म्हणजे प्रादेशिक भाषेमध्ये लिहिलेलं जे साहित्य आहे भारतामधलं, ते कशा पद्धतीने इंग्लिश भाषेमधलं जे लिहिलेलं साहित्य आहे इंडियन रायटरनी, ते दोन्हीमध्ये जो फरक आहे तो फरक सांगण्याचा जो प्रयत्न आहे तो रायटरने केलेला आहे. वेन अ रायटर राइट्स इन any of the regional languages such as Bengali, Hindi, Marathi or others, she does not carry the burden of Indian culture. इंडियन कल्चर किंवा संस्कृती किंवा परंपरा आहेत त्या कशा पद्धतीने चित्रित करायचं याचं जे बर्डन आहे त्या भारतीय भाषामध्ये लिहिणाऱ्या रायटरच्या मनामध्ये नसतं. पण जेव्हा एखादा लेखक, इंडियन लेखक, भारतीय लेखक इंग्लिश भाषेमध्ये आपल्या भारताविषयी किंवा भारतामधल्या घडणाऱ्या काही घटनांविषयी जेव्हा कथा लिहितो, कादंबरी लिहितो किंवा नाटक लिहितो, तेव्हा मात्र हे कल्चर त्या भाषेमध्ये कसं लिहावं, ह्या कल्चरल गोष्टी ज्या आहेत त्या भाषेमध्ये कसे रिफ्लेक्ट कराव्यात, हा मोठा प्रश्न त्याच्यासमोर निर्माण होतो. हा प्रश्न परत एकदा सेक्शन सेकंडमध्ये त्याच्याबद्दलची चर्चा रायटरने केलेली आहे. Now, in section, she gives reference to some of the writers in this section also. That is, the writers like, she points out that Munakshi Mukherjee points out that Mulkaraj Anand, Babhani Bhattacharya, Kamala Markandeya and others have also used the English as a mode of writing. So some of the Indian writers who write in English and how they try to write in English and how they become successful in writing in English novels particularly. She points out those writers here, and how they they solved how they were able to try to understand the cultural deficiencies prevalent in India, and they have written very successfully. Okay, in the section 3 also we try to understand Mukherjee thinks over the reasons why English writing in India remained a nascent stage for a long time, and how ultimately such writers have to defend upon the Indianness of their writing to make a mark in the international arena. So some of the writers have become very famous at international level, but how they had to depend upon this Indianness particularly. जे भारतीयत्व आहे ते भारतीयत्व खूप महत्त्वाचं ठरतं जेव्हा ते लिहितात. आणि द मेन रिझन्स फॉर actually it took a lot of or a long period that Indian novel become very famous at last, but it took a long period for it, or long, you know, after many years the writers became successful to reflect culture in English language very effectively. Okay, and then we find that in the section 4 she she writes, she means here writer, that is, she says that the writer's writer Mukherjee, she in the section 4 of the essay, she attempts to trace the growth in popularity of Indian English novel and how Indian novel become very popular at international level. She writes about it. Particularly, she gives reference to Salman Rushdie's novel Midnight Children, who broke the many postmodernist tenets and who won the first prize, Booker Prize, for Indian novel. So Salman Rushdie, Indian writer, actually, but who has settled abroad. But from there, he writes about about India, and his very important first novel, that is Midnight Children, which was published in 1980. And this novel got Booker Award, which is international award for novel. And this is the first award we received for Indian English novel. And Rushdie provided a very playful and imaginative representation of India's recent history and globalized the scenario. So, in this novel, Rushdie has popularized, or she has represented in a very effective manner, very imaginative manner, India's history, recent history. When the Mughals, he starts from the beginning, that is, the Mughals entered India, and then from there he starts the writing history of, or the very interesting history of India, the map of India. Very brilliantly he reflects this Indian picture in his novel. In the section 5, Mukherjee writes about third world cosmopoliticians. Now, she says that, for example, major African, Asian, and Latin American novelists she refers here, and these cosmopoliticians highlight the experience of colonialism, वसाहतवाद ज्याला म्हणतो आपण, as the theme of their novels. So many of the writers who write about the colonialism, that is वसाहतवाद, आणि त्याचा जो वसाहतवादाशी संबंधित जो विषय आहे, किंवा वसाहतवादावर आधारित, किंवा वसाहतवाद ही जी संकल्पना आहे, दॅट इज द थॉट्स. वसाहतवाद म्हणजे इथं नुसतं फक्त ब्रिटिशांचं इथं येणं आणि वसाहती स्थापन करणं असं नव्हे, तर ब्रिटिशांचे जे विचार आहेत, those thoughts which are, which we have just we stick to those thoughts, that is called as colonialism. This theme is used to trace the roots of modernity and cultural hybridity. So because of this colonialism, we can find that there is modernity as well as cultural hybridity. आधुनिकता किंवा सांस्कृतिक एक प्रकारचं जे मिक्सचर आहे, वेगवेगळ्या संस्कृतींचं होणारं जे मिक्सचर आहे. सो ब्रिटिशच्या पीपल केम हिअर, अँड बिकॉज ऑफ दॅट वेस्टर्न थॉट्स, we accepted the Western thoughts and the Western culture, and there is a mixture of the Indian and the Western culture. That is the hybridity, cultural hybridity. So there is difference between non-Western writers and who are rooted in their soil and who have become global citizens. Okay. And then the last section, in the last section, the writer discusses about the concept of anxiety of Indianness differs from the older generation of, means there is an older generation of writers, their anxiety was different, and now the today's writers anxiety is different. म्हणजे वेगवेगळ्या काळातल्या जे लेखक आहेत, लिहित आलेले आहेत इंग्लिशमध्ये, त्यांची अँझायटी वेगळ्या प्रकारची राहिलेली आहे. पूर्वीचे जे जुने लेखक होते ज्यांनी लिहिलं इंग्लिशमध्ये, त्यांच्या चिंता वेगळ्या होत्या, त्यांचे प्रॉब्लेम्स वेगळे होते भारतीयत्वाचे. अँड नाऊ द रायटर्स हू आर रायटिंग टुडे, देअर अँझायटी इज डिफरंट. ओके. सो ओल्डर जनरेशन, दॅट इज द रायटर्स लाईक मुल्कराज आनंद और राजा राव अँड आर के नारायण, and the younger writers like Upamanyu Chatterjee or Shashi Tharoor, Amitav Ghosh, and Vikram Seth. So their anxiety of Indian is different. So while the former attempted to come out of their rooted Indianness, and the latter have tried to be rooted to our Indianness due to the pressures of international markets. Okay? पूर्वीच्या रायटरनी भारतीयत्व मतामधून बाहेर येण्याचा प्रयत्न केला होता, आणि परंतु आताचे रायटर, जे यंगर रायटर आहेत, ते भारतीयत्वामध्ये त्यांचे रूट्स किंवा मूळ आहे ते दाखवण्याचा प्रयत्न करतात. बिकॉज द डिमांड ऑफ द मार्केट, इंटरनॅशनल मार्केट, प्रेशर ऑफ द, बिकॉज द इंटरनॅशनल मार्केट वॉन्ट्स to understand culture of India and Indianness particularly. What is India? They want to understand through literature, and that is the pressure. So Meenakshi Mukherjee concludes, or at the end of the essay, she said, with the discussion of concludes or the end of the essay with the discussion of Amitav Ghosh novel Shadow Lines, which is a very famous novel by Amitav Ghosh, Shadow Lines. So she observes that this is a novel that does not intend to prove anything and therefore displays no anxiety. So the novel does not prove anything, and there is no anxiety when we read the in the mind of the writer. So the issues of marginalization, hybridity, and others are all irrelevant in the context of this novel, and the novel cannot be categorized as first or third one. So there are such writers like Amitav, Ghosh, who do not show such type of anxiety, and they write in a very brilliant manner. So this is the essay, The Anxiety of Indianness. We stop here.